So the first day, the idea was to do a picture with the theme Swift. So of course, when you are a toddler and you get that first tricycle, you know you're pretty swift. So I kind of did a lot of child theme nostalgia type pictures. So this was my first one, starting off Inktober 2017. And then the next one gets a little darker. Obviously, I ripped this picture in half. Um, Not without good cause. I had a reason for doing it, and I knew what I was going to do the whole time. So the theme for day two was divided. And so I did a little bit of creative art here. So I kind of had divided and what's behind, sort of an idea. So we all have a million things going on in our heads, or at least I have a million things going on in my head. Just kind of seems sort of crazy sometimes. Split that wide open, I guess. And then the next one was poison. I probably enjoyed the poison day a little more than I should have. I don't know. But I love that old concept of the poison rings. I just think they're kind of fun. Not that I would actually, have one or anything, but it was kind of cool. The Medicis, I think, were some of the people who did a lot with poison rings. And I think I had just watched a documentary on the Medicis. And so I had this image in my head of the poison in the rings. And then the next day was underwater. So again, back to hands. I really enjoy drawing hands and faces, and so this was a great opportunity for me to kind of have a different angle and do a little bit of a different pose with a hand. And then the next day, this one was actually kind of fun. Any of these that you see with kind of that brown background, that's actually tea. In this one, I took some tea bags and threw them at the background, or threw them at the paper. And so then the illustration I did on this was for day 5, the theme was long, and so I had the magician pulling out the handkerchiefs, and you can see it's piling on the floor, and there's no end in sight because, I don't know, seemed like fun. And I'll flip them over, that's fine. So then the next day, the theme was sword. And it's going back a little bit to my childhood nostalgia theme sort of a deal because I don't know, I think one of the best times in our lives is our childhood and the opportunity to just use our imagination. And so here I have a little boy, kind of a Calvin and Hobbes style little boy who's just out playing with his sword, which happens to be a stick, but he doesn't care. He doesn't care he's got a pot on his head, whatever. And then shy. This was actually day 7 was one of those days. I don't remember. I think it was one of the weekends. I tended to have less time on the weekends, ironically. But it was one of those, I didn't have a lot of time, so I just did kind of a really quick portrait sketch sort of a deal in ink for day 7's shy theme, and I think it worked out. Just kind of got her hair over her face, looking over her shoulder. Doesn't really want to talk to you, but she'll be polite. I'm sure she'll blush. That's how I always felt anyway. Then the next day, the theme was crooked, and okay, that is actually showing up okay. I really had fun making this background, obviously, because I kind of just splattered paint on there. But then I also love drawing trees. Faces, hands, and trees seem to be some of my main jams, and so I got a really crooked, curvy, branchy kind of thing going on here. And I don't think overflow was actually one of the themes for day 9, but I was doing a blog post that day, I think, and I decided to use ink for whatever post I was doing. I think it was one of my devotional posts. So yeah, overflow. Our cup overflows. And then back to the childhood theme again. So on day 10, the theme was gigantic. I don't know if you can see this very well because I actually drew it pretty small for the theme being gigantic. Maybe get it to focus a little bit. But yeah, so gigantic, because when you're a little kid and your brother is getting measured and he's a foot taller than you, he just seems so gigantic. And someday you're going to be as tall as he is, although who knows. So anyway, that was just one of my cute little themes, cutesy themes. And then, of course, the next day is run. So, no cutesy theme with that. Poor little bunny. Hopefully she runs before the danger strikes. So yeah, this was kind of a fun one to do. I got to work with negative spaces with the eyes. So that was a good practice. I actually used markers on this and the T background again. So this one was another one of those fun ones, kind of like Divided, only this day was Shattered. So this is another one. Instead of ripping my art in half for this one, I just cut it apart. And so these are kind of, you can see you've got the face here. She's just shattered. A shattered mirror. Should put the video clip in here. So yeah, both with Divided and Shattered, I did video clips because I thought it would be kind of an artistic thing to do something like that where I let somebody or I let my audience see the process and then kind of the destructive aspect because I don't know, sometimes we take our art a little too seriously to the point where it can keep us from growing or keep us from creating. And so I wanted to take a moment and an opportunity to not take myself so seriously, I suppose, as an artist. And so it was actually kind of, I don't know, kind of cathartic, I guess is a good word, to create something and work hard on it and then just cut it apart or rip it in half. And so this was, I only did 2 of those, but this was one of them. And I'll put it together later. But and then the next day I completely strayed from the theme. I actually have no idea what the theme was for this day, but I was doing a Twitch stream that day and I had just created this in ink, and I actually don't think I'm totally done with this. I would like to make some kind of like a calligraphy graphic sort of a deal, write something like rejoice up here or some nice little verbal reminder. But I had seen these pictures of kind of these susical plant tree sort of things on Pinterest, I think, and these do not look like them exactly, but kind of that's where I got the idea from. And yeah, I was having a lot of trouble getting my pens to cooperate on this because for some reason they did not want to write on this particular watercolor background, which was kind of a pain. So you can see I've got several different pens and markers in there, but I like the result. I was really happy with how this turned out. I was really happy with this one, even though it totally strayed from the theme, whatever the theme happened to be. So day 14, the theme was fierce, and I think this was actually another one of the days where I didn't have a lot of time, and so I came home and um, I have a lot of these little scraps of old maps that I've been doing my Inktober on this year. So this was one of the ones where I thought, well, eyes are fierce, right? So I do some fun eyes. That was kind of a fun one to do. And then here's another one with that map background idea, and the theme for the day was mysterious. So I got to have some fun with silhouettes and negative space again, and you can kind of see the map in the background and what's he walking towards sort of an idea. It's mysterious because we can do that in art, I guess. And then so day 16 the theme was fat, and I didn't really know what to do with this one at first because I was just like, that's a bad word, you're not ever supposed to use it. And so I ended up going with a fat cat because I thought that sounded funny, and that was kind of the words that were coming into my mind when I was trying to brainstorm for ideas. So I went and found some different pictures of cats and got some different ideas. And yeah, I got my little fat cat here with his little monocle. And so that was a pretty fun one to do, actually. I really enjoyed it. So day 17 was actually my birthday, and so I did graceful on that day. I thought that was very nice and fitting that graceful happened to fall on my birthday. So, not being vain there at all. But I actually did these. This project is another one that's not actually done yet. So I did these on a 2-sided paper. So at some point, my plan is to cut out the butterflies so that they can really show the colors on both sides, so they can have that bright, vibrant red on the underside of the butterflies. I think it's something I'm planning on adding to some of my mixed media art. So at some point that is going to get cut up because, can't take ourselves too seriously. Okay, back to the childhood theme because I just enjoy nostalgia. And I don't know, maybe I work with kids too much, but so filthy. I thought filthy would be another fun one because I know I loved making mud pies as a kid, and so I thought this would be kind of a fun idea for anybody who also enjoyed making mud pies when they were a kid too. And so we've got the hose coming over here, and I'm pretty sure his parents are going to be completely annoyed with him when he comes inside, but he's having a blast. So I enjoyed drawing this one. Then the next one, this is another one I really enjoyed, partially just because I love drawing castles. The theme for this day was cloud, so you can kind of see the clouds there. You've got castle in the sky sort of an idea. I am a dreamer, so I like to do things that have to do with sort of a dreamy, far off, imaginary world and kind of building my castles in the clouds or castles in the sky. And so this one turned out really well. I also really liked the watercolor background that I had for this one because the colors just worked together really well. I think that it turned out really well and people seemed to really enjoy it. So yeah, it was good. And then deep. Actually, this was another day where I was really busy. And I kind of ended up doing this one at the end of the day and not having ideas. And so just, I figured there's fish under the water and that's deep. So I really like the way it turned out. It looks very similar to my reference photo, not exactly like, but I actually really was happy and surprised with this one. Kind of surprised that it turned out as good as it did. So that one was a happy little surprise. And then this one, this is another one of the days where I completely strayed from the theme. This was a day where I had a conference and I had to go to face painting and there was just absolutely no time. So this was the doodle in my book while I was at the conferences, and I actually went in later and added the white and the gold. So the picture that I posted on the day of does not look like this exactly. It got, I don't know, improved, quote unquote, afterwards. And so I want to say the theme for the day was furious. I don't really know if this looks furious or not. I think it just kind of was fun to draw. So, but it's in ink, so I think it counts. And then this one was actually I don't know if you can see it. So the theme for the day was trail, and this is one I actually forgot that I had because I drew it on a piece of scrap paper in my Bible when I was at church. So it was kind of a doodle, and she's got her little trail that she's going down, kind of a Swiss Alps sort of a look there. Maybe, I don't know. Yeah, let's just go with that, Swiss Alps. Or just kind of an adventure sort of a theme. I used to do a lot of stuff like this in high school, so it was pretty easy just because I have that practice. Some of it was harder than others. These trees are not that easy to do in ink. So yeah, that was trail. And this is one that I had to play catch up with later. The theme was juicy, so oranges because I like orange juice. So that was pretty much my whole logic behind that. And so I spent a day just catching up on my Inktober days that I had missed, and I don't remember why I missed this one, but it just didn't happen that day, and so it happened later. And it turned out this is another one of those tea backgrounds. I think this one I squeezed the tea bag over the top of the paper and it kind of just dripped. I think I splattered a little bit. You can kind of see that actually might be the splatter from one of the other ones. They were right next to each other, but it works for juicy. So yeah, that's cool. I think I still have one of my tea backgrounds left. I actually had to cut this one out of a sketchbook. The theme for the day was blind, and it was supposed to be a pre-sketch, but I ended up liking it, and so I posted this, and I never actually went back and redrew it. So blind, this is another one. Actually, it is very similar to some of the drawings that I did in high school, kind of that curly-haired look and not really, I don't know, a little bit cartoonish, but a little bit towards reality. So yeah, kind of that adventure girl sort of a deal, maybe an oracle. Here was another really fun one. I love this background, and all month I was just like waiting to use it. And so on day 25, the theme was ship. And I was kind of thinking I ended up getting lazy on this. So I was kind of thinking I was going to go back to my childhood theme, and I was going to have a little boy and he was going to be in some kind of a cardboard box or something and daydreaming, and then I would pan out and there would be, this really fun and elaborate picture of a ship. And so I drew the ship first, and then I was like, I'm tired, so I'm done for the day. Sorry, little boy, you don't get the ship. So yeah, but it turned out really well. I really like this. I love blues and purples for my watercolor backgrounds, and so I think that ended up turning out really well. People seem to like it, so yeah, that was a good one. That was a happy day. This was another one of my catch-up ones. So the theme for the day was squeak. So I found a couple of pictures. I'm like, squeak, cat and mouse, right? So I found this one picture of a cat hanging off of a table, and I found another picture of a really cute mouse, and I just smashed them together. And so it was really good practice. It was actually really hard to do the cat's fur. So she was supposed to be a tabby cat. So she's supposed to have some stripes, and you can kind of see some stripes on her head, but they also kind of look like weird, I don't know, eyebrows maybe. So yeah, I have discovered fur is not really my specialty, but it was good. It was a learning experience, and I think it's a cute picture. So just makes me want to squeak. And then day 27, so back to my childhood theme again, because I like pretending I'm still a child, I guess. And so the whole idea was climb for that day. And so I drew this tree house, and I don't know, when I was a kid anyway, whenever I'd go out to play, it didn't matter what I was playing with, there was always some picture in my mind of what it actually was. And I never actually had a treehouse. This drawing this picture made me kind of wish that I had. But if I'd have had a treehouse, it probably would have been at the top of a mountain, and it would have been a castle in my brain. And so I drew this little boy, and he's thinking about how he's going up to slay the dragon, and he's got to climb the mountain, which is actually a tree just leading up to his treehouse. But it's fun. I miss childhood, I suppose. So yeah, this was actually the theme for the day on the day that I did all of my catch up. So this was day 28, and the theme was fall. And this is actually a really shiny background. So I'm trying to make sure that I don't like shimmer it away in the camera. But I had done this, I did a lot of watercolor backgrounds leading up to Inktober, and so that I would have things to draw on, because I enjoy being able to mix things up. And so this one was such a fall color, and I got to enjoy doing some different leaves, although I kind of hated some of them as I was drawing them because I was just kind of done at that point. So they turned out okay. I like them better now than when I was drawing them. And yeah, so just a fun little fall illustration. I think it'd be fun to mount this on a card and mail it to someone as like a thank you card, or I don't know, just an encouragement card. So day 29, the theme was United. So I used my map paper again because I really, really liked drawing on the maps. And you can kind of see a little bit, I had put, oh, what's that called? Gesso on the background, so you can kind of see how it's muted, and then that's where the tape was. And so I did prepare this beforehand a little bit, but basically it's a cut up old map with a couple of hands drawn on it. But I think it worked out. I like it. Again, this is one of those things where I like my work better afterwards. So I'm looking at it now and I'm like, oh, okay, this actually turned out all right. But as I was drawing it, I was just kind of sitting there like, oh, this looks so terrible. So I am glad I can come back to it and not hate it. So that's nice. Other people liked it, so I guess it wasn't the worst even then. Okay, so second to last day, day 30, the theme was found, and I just had to go back to my childhood theme again. And so, of course, playing hide and seek, and the little sister has found her little brother. I kind of like to imagine that this is the same siblings from the earlier piece, from the gigantic piece, and they're just, I don't know, they're a happy little family, enjoying their life, playing hide and seek behind the chair. So yeah, all right, and the very last Inktober piece, I actually wasn't going to use this background, because I didn't like it. But I'm really happy that I had it because for day 31, the theme was mask, and so I kind of did a little masquerade mask. I probably could have gone some kind of, I don't know, philosophical, artistic take on, the masks that we wear in our day-to-day lives or something fun like that. It's a good theme for lending itself to doing something a little bit more or a little bit deeper. But I just wanted to draw a mask, so I just drew a mask. So that's what I ended with, going out with. Just not really a bang, because that's kind of what this has been. A lot of little pictures.